Hey guys, how you doing? Sunday night. It's been a long weekend. I hope everyone's doing fine tonight after this long Valentine's Day weekend. It's been real cold out here in Boston, and I figured I'd check in, say hello, see what's happening with everyone out there, and maybe do something a little different tonight. Just have like a chill chat maybe, if you guys want to do something like that, or a Q&A. All up to you guys, depends on what how many people come in to the audience tonight. I had a real good group the other night. There was good amount of people. Last night was kind of slow, so I figured I'd come in and say what's up and see how everyone's weekend went. It was a long weekend, cold one in here anyways. Boston was fairly cold. Sun came out during the day, but it was kind of, on the chilly side. And I just got done a little while ago doing a MAR meeting. I don't know if you guys know what MAR is, medical assisted recovery. It's not bad, A lot of veterans participate in the meeting, and just there's some homeless people that come on by, and tonight was my night to make coffee and participate. So how's everyone doing? Anyone have any questions or want to pick a topic to talk about tonight? Or it's all up to you guys what you want to talk about, what you want to do. I'm trying to change it up a little bit. I'm really want to talk about homeless and how to give back to the homeless and help if you can. I try to spread awareness on recovery and drug use, and also homelessness and what we can do to help people that are homeless. The most important thing to a homeless person is obviously eating and shelter. And in my book, it is very, very important for them to have those few things, I know it'd be nice to be able to give more, but not everyone has $1 million to hand out to people, So I volunteer sometimes at like the VA hospital, or I've been going to the homeless places where they live in now. In my area, there's a big group called Tent City, and it's like 30 to 40 people that are homeless that are living in tents, and it's set up on a piece of land where they're not bothered by like town officials or anything like that. They kind of know they're there, but they don't give them a hard time. It's sad but true, but it's out of sight, out of mind. And I've learned from listening to a few guys that are homeless that, I guess they're looked down upon by people of like that hold power positions. And, I think being homeless is a really sucky situation. I know in the state that I live in Massachusetts, there's a lot of help for them because we have Mass Health as an insurance thing for like people that live, under the poor level. So I'm really trying to get into that and giving a hand for people that need it. Passing out hot meals, making sure there's shelter at night. They just built a brand new shelter here in the city, and it holds, like 200 people, and they can go in at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and sleep until 7 o'clock the next day. You just can't be there during the day unless it's a certain temperature during the window in winter, and in the summer, you can come and go as you please. That's something new that they're doing. It used to be they kicked you out for the day, but now you can stay there. And there's a myth like shelters are only for guys that beat their wives, and that's not true. Shelters are for someone that needs shelter, at night. How you doing, at Ron Hart? Hello. So, that's how it goes. People need help, I'm also into doing like recovery. I'm like a part-time recovery coach. I myself did heroin and fentanyl and crack cocaine. How you doing, guys? I had a rough run. I started using, I was 22 years old, and over the period of like 15 years, I was incarcerated 5 times. I was Section 35. I was in state prison. I was in the county jail, which is a supermax. I've been through a lot of things. I lost my brother in 2000 to a drug overdose. A lot of stuff has went on. And I'm just trying to give people a message and let them know that there is help out there, and I'm willing to help. I mean, I know I can't help everyone because not everyone that comes on these chats or these lives are local, but I can definitely guide you in the area of getting help if help is needed. I have a lot of contacts with detoxes and counselors and even a few doctors. I've been at this for I'm going on 20 years, I believe, that I've been clean almost 20 years. My story kind of goes like this. I was using heroin. I was selling a lot of cocaine. Long story short, in 2008, I got on something called Suboxone, which was a pill form, and they changed over to strips. And I was on the Suboxone from 2008 until 2021. And what happened was the pandemic came along. And when the pandemic came along, my doctor was an older gentleman, and he decided that he was going to close his practice. So now the pandemic hit, nothing's open, and they wanted me to go find a new doctor to, get my Suboxone from. And I was kind of lost because no one was open because of the pandemic. So I had no clue what to do. I was really, really scared that I was going to be in trouble. And someone had mentioned going on the methadone clinic. So I went to the city. I live 2 towns away from the city, and I went and signed up on the methadone clinic on a Monday morning. And Wednesday I was discharged from the Suboxone clinic. Thursday I seen their doctor, and Friday I started dosing, and that was in 2021. And now it's been 5 years, and I've been on the methadone clinic. I'm on 200 milligrams of methadone. I go 6 days a week to dose. I'm up every day at 4 a.m. I leave the house at 6. I get a ride there. I dose. I get a ride back home, and then I go about my daily schedule. I'm 57 years old. I'm retired, so luckily I don't got to rush home and get ready and go off to work. I can do what I got to do. I choose to do with my time is volunteer as much as I can, give out methadone at the local VA, anything that can help anybody. Take phone calls from people that need help, that maybe don't know where to get someone a detox bed or get them on a clinic if need be. So I just try to do what I can and kind of like give back to my community because I ran amok for all those years. I wasn't an angel. I started selling cocaine when I was 22 years old, and I sold a lot of cocaine. My parents were divorced, and my dad was a connected person. My dad had a lot of connections. He grew up in South Boston, Mass. He owned a big business in Dorchester, Mass. I was brought up from my mother, but I wanted that lifestyle of making money. So I started selling cocaine in, I forget what year it was, but I was 22 years old. I know that much. And, I was doing the Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night bar scene, selling a hell of a lot of blow. Eventually, I started getting in trouble because I was getting visits from detectives. I had the South Shore Drug Task Force, creeping around the neighborhood. They finally got a warrant for me, searched my house. They didn't find nothing. They were really pissed off. Excuse me. They were really pissed off that they didn't have nothing to pin on me. And then that was like the chase was on. I had cops watching me for a good 10 years. So it was like a game of cat and mouse. I eventually did get arrested. And that's when even more of my trouble started because instead of like sending me right to jail, they put you on probation with like urines and, you got to show up once a week to see your probation officer. And of course, if you're on drugs, that's the last thing you want to do. So I'd last about 3 months. My probation would get violated, and off to jail I went. So I did 4 stays. I was sentenced 4 different times to the same prison. It's in a town called Dedham, Massachusetts. It's the Norfolk County House of Correction. If you Google it or look it up, the jail is a supermax. It's built after the jail that holds Timothy McVeigh there, the bomber. It's the same setup. You're locked down 22 hours a day. There is no TVs in your cell. There is no Walkmans. There's not even electricity on the inside for like a stinger or anything like that. The only thing you can do in there is turn on the light, go to the bathroom, and maybe wash your face. There's 2 bunks, upper and lower bunk, and you're in with another guy 22 hours a day. You think about that. Go lock yourself in the bathroom for 22 hours at a time. It's kind of rough. So I did 4 different incarcerations, and it wasn't a good time whatsoever, you know. Really, really, just a bum deal. So I was there, I believe, 1 year, and then I did 2 years, and then I did 2.5 years. And I think my last time I was incarcerated was 3.5 years, I believe. And I was also Section 35 one time by the local police in my town, and I got sent to the state prison, and I could not leave. A Section 35 is when they take you in front of a judge, and if they think that you're like in risk of hurting yourself or hurting others, that the judge will Section 35 you, and they basically, it's like getting a warrant put out against you. They lock you up. They take you to the county jail, and then from there, you go off to the Bridgewater State Prison. Like you're in your own wing. They called it the Wild Wild West, but you're still in with federal inmates, state inmates. You're not like kept away from any of these people that are doing life. And they're not giving you any type of really comfort meds. You get a few Librium and a few Clonidine, and you're on your own. I know jails are different now. I know, people are getting locked up. You can get methadone now in jails, Suboxone in the jails, which is kind of crazy because where's the punishment? If you've been to jail and you go back, you don't mind it. Guys that go to prison know how to do time. It doesn't scare them to get locked up. It's like you got to know how to survive in there. Some of it is true, like the aura that you hear about prisons. Some of it is true and some of it's not. Like the weaker people do have trouble in there. You got to be able to like handle yourself, know how to get respect and give respect. That's the only way you're going to make it in there. I myself really didn't have too much trouble when I was incarcerated. I ran with a good group of guys. I am a suburb kid, but I happen to know a lot of people from the city, especially Charlestown, Mass, and South Boston. And I was in with a bunch of, real good guys, but they were hardcore, bank robbers, armored car guys, drug dealers, assault and batteries. So we pretty much had our unit on lockdown. I was locked up in a dorm style setting. I was in a gymnasium, which was in the prison, and it was so overcrowded that they made the gym a unit. It was G1, and I was in that unit for 3.5 years. I had a job in there, and my job was called the bond boss. And what that is I basically gave jobs to the inmates, and that would allow them to make 7.5 days good time a month. I also earned 7.5 days good time a month myself. And when I got out of the jail, I decided that I wanted to do the right thing. So when I come home, I started getting involved with programs like DYS, the YMCA, and trying to get like kids on the right track. And of course, I hit a little bump. I relapsed, but it was only a bump. It wasn't like a permanent stay. I did what I had to do, and I got clean, and I finally stayed clean. And what I found was the only way to really stay clean is to keep busy. And then I got sick. Like 2 years later, I had started having problems with my lower legs, like from the knee down. And come to find out, I have what they call neuropathy lymphedema, which is circulation troubles, and you get, shooting pains, burning, tingling. You can't feel your feet. It's a real scary thing. So I had to see a vascular surgeon, and 2 years ago they decided that I needed to have surgery. So I had surgery on both my legs, and it did work. I do feel a little better, but I had to hire a lawyer because I could no longer work anymore. And, I was only 50 years old. I wasn't ready to retire yet, but they made me retire. I basically lost my job without a pension that I was at for a long, long time. I was a building manager of 3 apartment complexes. I had a great gig. I had a free apartment that I lived in. The bills were covered by the company. All I had to pay was, car insurance and a cell phone bill. And I hired a lawyer, and I went through court, and they deemed me 100% disabled. I do get a check every month. Luckily, the home I'm in is paid for. I don't live in a huge house. It's a 5-room ranch. Full basement. I was lucky enough to purchase a new car in 2021, just a little Hyundai Elantra, which I don't even really drive. The thing's still got 19,000 miles on it. And they say, to have a little toy for yourself. Well, I bought myself a Harley Davidson Softail. I've had it for a couple of years, and I don't even drive it. It's sitting in the driveway covered up, and it's actually for sale. The plan for the house is, I think, another year or two, and then the house is going to be put up for sale. I'm going to split the profit with my brother, and then from there I want to buy an RV and travel the country. Now, this brings us to my next part of my story. I'm working with the doctor and the clinicians to try to get off the methadone eventually. It's going to take a while. I'm on a 200 milligram dose. That's a lot of, that's a high dose of methadone, but I'm not a small guy either. I'm 6'4", 342 pounds, and I'm kind of on the big side. And a year ago, I weighed 420 pounds. They put me on that Zepbound shot. I take it once a week, and I've been eating real good, and I'm lucky. I lost almost 100 pounds in 8 months. So I'm feeling a whole hell of a lot better. Now, getting to the drug aspect of it, the heroin, it's not even heroin anymore. It's all fentanyl. And that stuff is like super, super crazy. There's even, my mind is blown because it's such an epidemic that when you get on these clinics that they're given fentanyl test kits. So people that are still using can test the drugs they're buying so they don't die. And I actually have one here that I grabbed a couple of them at the clinic. This here is a test strip that they give you. You guys can see that. This here is, you take that test strip, and say you're using drugs still. You put a little bit of the drugs like in a spoon or in a cap or whatever, and you put a little water on it. You put that test strip in, and that test strip tells you whether there's fentanyl in it or not. You can do it with cocaine. You can do it with even marijuana. If you break up the weed and put it in a spoon and hit that thing, it'll tell you, because they've found fentanyl in weed. I have a good friend that has 2 sons, and they smoke grass. They're 23 years old, and he will not let them buy weed off the street. He makes sure that they go to a dispensary to get their pot, because it was found that he did a test one night and it came back there was fentanyl in the weed, which I think is absolutely crazy. Sorry about the shakiness. My tripod, I stepped on the leg the other night and broke it, so I ordered a few new things and it's on its way. So I have to use the handheld. It's just the drugs, it's so hard to rewire your brain and your way of thinking after you've been using a long time. It's been 19 years for me. I really don't have cravings for the heroin or the fentanyl anymore. But I have something called drug dreams, where you're put in a situation where you think, it's real vivid too. And it's been 19 years and I'm still having these crazy dreams. I'm really trying to rewire my brain and get myself back to the way I was many years ago. When I was a teenager, I never drank, I never drugged. I smoked some weed, but I'm talking hard drugs. I think it's real important now that the upcoming generation of kids and older teenagers and stuff really need to know that drugs is a nowhere thing. I call it like with drugs they say you'll be dead, but I call it drugs end all dreams, and it's true. I ended up, I'd never thought I'd be incarcerated. I never thought I'd be a convicted felon. I never thought I'd have my privilege to vote taken away. People look at you different, when they know what you did in the past. I was in line getting a slice of pizza one day, and I haven't seen someone now. I went to high school. I got out of high school, I think it was 83 or 84. And I'm standing in line, and someone walked up, and this is a guy I went to school with that used to hang out at my house. And instead of saying like, hey Bill, what's up? How you doing? He walks up and he says, hey, you're still not a junkie, right? And I was like thrown back and knocked for a loop. I could not believe he asked me that. And of course I said, no, I'm doing great. And at that time I still was using. But my heart dropped so low because I didn't know what to say. I had to lie and I had to tell the guy, no, I was doing great. But like inside, I felt like a piece of shit. And then like I really knew like this got to stop. And then what happened was my brother had used and he had passed away. And like the story went that he had come home, he was working the night shift. I heard the door being knocked on. It was about 11 o'clock at night. I let him in. He's like, oh, come on downstairs. And we went, I was up in my room listening to the police scanner, and I went down and we were shooting the breeze, and, we got high. And the last thing I said to him was, make sure, pick up your trash. Have a good night. I'll see you tomorrow. Well, I went back upstairs, went to bed. Next morning, 6 o'clock, I hear someone yelling from the other room, hey, go shut, Bob's, this my brother's name was Bob. So my other brother says, yo, go shut Bob's TV off downstairs. I can hear it. I think he fell asleep last night with his TV on. So where he was staying was down in the basement, and I'm upstairs. So when you open the door to the basement, you could see down the stairs. His room was on the right. I could see like the light coming under the door, and I could hear the TV. So, I walked down the stairs, not thinking I was going to find what I found. I opened the door, and there he is face down on the floor. And I'm thinking, oh, he's messed up. He nodded out. He's probably sleeping. Well, I went to shake him, and I could feel that he was hard as a rock, and like panic mode set in. And then I had flipped him over, and what had happened was he obviously overdosed, and he stopped breathing, and he died. And after the like autopsy and stuff, they had told us he probably died around midnight. I had left that room about 11:15. So 45 minutes later, he had went out, his breathing stopped, and he must have like fell face first. Like I was saying, when I flipped him over, all the blood had coagulated like in his feet, his face, his chest, and his feet, and they were like black, almost like a dark purple, and that's from the blood. And of course, I could now when I turned him over, I could smell like a musty smell almost, and that's the body like releasing its gases and stuff. I think my psyche broke because now I'm looking at this guy and his arms are kind of crunched up and his legs, he wasn't straight, he was kind of in that like fetal position. So now my other brother comes running down. I'm ready to, call 911, and, here it is. I don't know what to do. Like, I've never found a dead body, especially my brother. So we straightened his legs out. We straightened his arms out. We took his jewelry off because he used to wear a lot of gold. And, of course, you know how that goes. That stuff disappears. And from there, we waited for the police. They came, did their thing. His body was found at 6:30 in the morning. They didn't take him out of the house till 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So my poor mother at the time was upstairs in the kitchen. Now my father had showed up. He didn't live at the house. And my parents are upstairs and their son's down in the basement dead. And no one was allowed back down there. Once the cops got there, they treat it as a crime scene until they figure out what's going on. And it was like 7 hours before they even took him out of the house. I was completely, I don't even know. I don't know if like I snapped or I think the doctor said I went into shock and then said, now I have a little, what is it, PTSD from like finding the body and going through that experience. And it's funny because it's been what, 26 years now? It's 2026. He died in 2000. Every once in a while, I still get that smell in my nose of that musty, almost like a wet rug mixed with urine smell. And I don't know why, but I get that smell in my nose and I can almost taste it. I do have some crazy dreams about it. I am in the same house still. I actually lived in that room after he had passed away. When I had come back from my job and I had to retire, there was nowhere for me to stay, so I went down to the basement apartment and I lived in that same room. It was the bedroom. And I was really freaked out because I didn't want to stay there. Believe that. I was one of those guys that was thinking like, oh, this is haunted. I don't want to be here. So eventually I came into some money and I purchased the home, paid it off. Everything's going good, everything's going good for me now, but back then it wasn't too great. I just wanted to come on tonight, do a quick live to say thank you because it is Sunday night. I have to be up at 4 a.m. tomorrow, so it's kind of going to be a quick one tonight. I got a bad head cold. I've been fighting it all weekend. I was on last night. I was on the night before. I really want to get this channel off the ground. If you guys can like, subscribe, and let your friends know that I'm trying to do the best I can with getting this channel going. I've set up some interviews. I'm waiting on some more materials that I ordered, like a camera rig, a few lights, a studio microphone. I'm going to go into the Methadone Mile in Boston and do some interviews. I've already talked to a few of the people at the clinic. They're setting this up for me. And I also was at Tent City yesterday, and that is in Brockton, Mass. And I'm going to do some interviews up there. I know a lot of the people that are living there because some of them do go to the clinic that I'm on. And I had a friend of mine that's helping me out, and he kind of spread the word what I'm trying to do. And I really want to get this channel up and going. I want to see 100, 200 people in the audience when I go live. So I know, you need really good content. And, a lot of people don't really want to listen to a guy telling his story. And, how many times in the same live can you tell the same story about, drinking, drugging, and prison stories? I know it gets kind of boring, So I'm only one person, and I can only think of my memories. I know other stories. I really can't say people's names. I don't know if they're going to agree with what I want to tell. I got to ask and talk to people first. So, like I said, I'm trying my best. I'm definitely going to do those interviews. I want to bring it from the street so it's raw, it'll be really good. So I just want to thank you guys for stopping in and checking it out and seeing what it's about. If I was feeling better and my head wasn't pounding like I'm getting hit with a hammer, I'd stay on here for an hour and a half and try to really deliver, but I'm just not feeling good. You can see I'm all red in the face. I've been sneezing, coughing. It's just, I did want to come on just in case someone needed to hear this. And like I said, I'm here to help anyone that needs help. You got a family member, a brother, a sister, a wife, a husband, a stepkid, anybody needs help. Please reach out to me and I will do what I can, even if you're not from the Boston area. I have phone numbers. I'll make phone calls. I can supply transportation to and from detoxes, and that's usually what people need because they can't get it. And I don't want to see, people suffering because they don't know where to turn. I have a mass detox list that is sent to my phone every day, and it gives the availability of detox beds in New England, California, Ohio. I got a few places that I get a list, and all the available beds for men and women given to me. So if I need help someone, I can give it out. My email is the same as the name of the page. It's at bostonbill@gmail.com. If you need to send an email and, ask some questions or you need some answers, feel free to send your questions or answers, and I'll do the best I can to take care of you. I work with the local church. I work with the local detox and the local methadone and Suboxone clinic. Actually, I am a client there, and like I said, I've been going there since 2008. So I've got to know a lot of people, counselors, clinicians, the doctor, nurse practitioners, and I got some means and sources to get help to people that really need it. So if anyone does need help or wants help, just reach out, and I'm willing to help anybody. Um, I'm not a dude that cares about color, creed, anything like that. I will help anybody. I'm just trying to give back from like my experience and what I went through and what people did to me to help me on my journey. I want to do the same. I try not to hold anger issues anymore. I let things go a lot. I was raised in a good good neighborhood my mother was great. God bless her. She's still alive at 85 years old. She's very smart. She understands where I came from, what I've been through. I just want to pass the word. And now my new thing is I'm working on helping homeless people get a roof over their head and making sure they get fed. In my area, they just built a new shelter, and I'm doing a lot of like volunteer work with them. Collections like blankets, socks, because it's winter time here in Boston. Um, housing for people that are on a certain list. They got housing on the property. It's a $2 million building that was just built. They just had the ribbon cutting. I think it was 2 months ago. It's a wet shelter. You can go in there if you are using, but you can't bring drugs or alcohol in. They do search you at the door. They supply food. They supply shower, laundry if you need to wash your clothes. They have washer and dryers there, and you could sleep there. You have to check in at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, and you have to be out by 7 a.m. the next morning. That's not too bad. It's on the bus line, so there is transportation. They don't charge for the bus. You got a certain wristband that you can wear, and you can get the public transportation from one city all the way into Boston, down Cape Cod. I mean, you can get to Greyhound and go anywhere you want, but most people that are homeless ain't traveling all over the country, so they figure public transportation for now is the best thing that they can do, which I think it's great. So like I was saying, my name is Bill. I'm 57 years old. I come from Boston, Mass. I'm of Italian descent. I was raised in a single parent home by my mother. My father, God bless his soul, died in 2000. I also lost him the same year I lost my brother. My problems kind of started, as a kid, like it was because, my parents got divorced, my dad left, but I never turned to like alcohol or any type of drugs. Yeah, I smoked weed in high school, but to me, that ain't nothing, And then as I got older, me and my dad started like building a relationship. But the only thing I didn't realize is that my father was kind of a connected guy. And even though he ran this business in the city, he had a side hustle that I didn't know about. And that was distribution of cocaine. And then all of a sudden, I was doing the same thing. So, that's kind of where everything started going downhill when you start associating yourself with people that are a connected person. You know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying by connected? I guess you guys ain't probably stupid, so you can have an idea what I'm talking about. What was big in my area was the Irish mob, which was ran by Whitey Bulger. And he was known to a few people, kids that I was hanging around with were kind of like working for Whitey, I guess you could say. My father kind of had his own thing going on. There was a few stores, like corner stores. There was a few bar rooms. You can imagine the clientele. So I was at my own little bar in the town I live in. And I was there for 7 years. And I was pumping hard, a lot of cocaine. And finally, like a good friend of mine, I think he took a pinch. I really never got the story because I never seen him after this happened. He introduced this girl to me as his cousin. And I started selling her cocaine. I started selling her heroin. And like 4 months later, a gang of people like blew my door in. And I didn't even know who it was. It was the South Shore Drug Task Force. And what had happened was she was an undercover state trooper, and I had no idea. So I was selling drugs to an undercover cop. There was 9 of us involved. It made the front page of the local newspaper. I was on cable TV because of it. And, I disgraced my mom, my mother, and, the whole town I lived in. Now everyone was pointing their fingers. Oh, that's the guy. That's the guy. They made it sound like I was El Chapo bringing in kilos of cocaine into the town. And that wasn't the situation at all. I was selling a couple ounces of blow, but that's a lot of coke for, I guess, a small town. I did get incarcerated, and that was my first time being arrested, which I didn't think I was even going to get in trouble. I figured I was going to get a slap on the wrist, but that didn't happen. So here it is, 20 years later. Most of the police are retired that even were involved in my case. I did run into one of the detectives, and he said to me that, he knows what I'm up to now. He's proud of me for doing what I'm doing. But he did say to me, he goes, you were good at what you were doing. He said, because it took us a long time to catch you. And, you were good. It was a game of cat and mouse. And, eventually they won. They did arrest me. And that was the only way they could get me, was like introducing someone to me that I didn't know. And it was through a friend. So that kind of threw me for a loop. But, I didn't even learn my lesson then either. I did my time and I got out and I was right back in the game because I think I was more addicted to the money and the lifestyle. I was getting a lot of respect then. I could get whatever I wanted at the time because a lot of people were at my beck and call just because they knew I was the guy that had what they wanted. I didn't pay for much of anything in the town. I could go to any restaurant and pretty much eat for free. I had a good little gig going on. But, like I said, I'm basically here to help anyone that wants to get help with drugs and alcohol. I'm trying my best. But I need you guys' help out there in YouTube land, I need you guys to subscribe, like, and definitely pass the word, I'm trying to get this channel off the ground. I know it's tough because, YouTube's got 1,000 people doing 1,000 different things and it makes it hard. I ordered like new camera rig, some lights, selfie sticks, studio microphone, camera rig. And once this weather can get a little warmer out, I want to start hitting the streets. I definitely want to go into the Methadone Mile. If you guys don't know what the Methadone Mile is, it's an area of Boston on 2 streets called Cass and Mass. It's in the heart of pretty much a good portion of the bad city. It's got the Suffolk County House of Correction. There's like 4 methadone programs, and there's got to be upwards of almost 250 people living there on the street. It's open drug use. The cops just roll by. They don't really do much about it. You can Google the Methadone Mile, and there's plenty of stories on it right now on YouTube, and you can see what I'm talking about. I plan on going down there and going live and going like raw from the street. 2 days ago, I was live, and I actually went to Tent City, which is in Brockton, Massachusetts, and that's where there's about 25 to 30 people living in kind of like a homeless camp. And I was out there handing out socks and jackets and, some pairs of shoes, gloves, scarves, because it's really cold right now. And people are dying out there. And, if I can save someone, that's what I'm trying to do. They're giving out the propane heaters from Walmart. We brought a few of those up there just so people can have a little heater in their tent. Like I said, I'm not made of money, so it's kind of hard for me to do all this by myself. And right now I am, because I didn't want to come on here and start asking for money and donations, but eventually I'd like to set up a Venmo or a PayPal and maybe get some donations just so it helps me help them, I get my check monthly, and a good portion of it goes to that because I try to go to thrift stores and get as much stuff as I can. I go to the different shelters and they give me what they have to give, but there's a lot of people out there right now that are homeless and they need help. They need help. You know what I mean? It's families that lost their home due to work being slow. People lose their jobs. They can't pay for the houses. They get evicted. They throw them out. Homelessness right now is at an all-time high in my state anyways. I'm in Massachusetts and it's at an all-time high. The only reason I have a roof over my head right now is because I got lucky. My uncle was living here prior to me getting here. He died of a heart attack. I think it was 3 years ago. And when he died, there was a will. Didn't know about it. There was $800,000 left in the will. And I was able to take some of the money and do, some good things. I paid the house off and I bought a new vehicle. I went out and got a little, motorcycle for myself, which I really didn't need, but I did. A lot of the bills got paid, and now I'm able to, help people a little bit. I did divvy up the money between, family members, and there was 6 people, so, figure that out. It was 100,000 short of $1 million, but it goes quick when you got 6 people all waiting for their check, So like I said, my name is Bill. A lot of people call me Boston Bill, and I've been sober like 19 and a half years. I'm in recovery from being a heroin addict. I was an IV drug user, and then, I smartened up. And I went to sniffing it, thinking that would be better for me. I ended up with hepatitis C. I am no longer have hepatitis C. They, thank God, found a cure for it. And I went in and I did the antiferon for 12 weeks and the pill. I am now 100% clean. My liver is getting regenerated as we speak, which is awesome. Feeling real good. I've lost almost 100 pounds in the last year. I just have a wicked head cold right now and probably sound real funny to you guys. I'm so stuffed up, it's crazy. I've been sick for like 4 days. My voice and everything's going. I probably should have just stayed in bed, but I had something to do last night, and I figured I'd just come on and do a quick live. I didn't realize I've been on here 40 minutes. Sometimes I just like to ramble on. If anyone has any questions or anything about drug use or needs any guidance to get help, feel free to ask questions in the chat. Don't be shy. It helps me a little bit if some people do reach out, because then it gives me a little bit of a break. Like I said, I'm not feeling too hot right now, so it helps me, but I'm grateful for you guys coming here. Like I say at the end of my lives all the time, I'm so glad you guys do show up to listen. I know I'm not the most exciting guy, but I'm trying, At least I figure I'm doing something that people need to hear. I'm not going on doing these crazy dances or doing something stupid and foolish. I'm doing something that this country needs. And people need to know that fentanyl's killing our kids, killing our relatives, killing our loved ones. I mean, drugs are never going to stop in this country. People know that. The government don't stop it because there's way too much money being made, and it's 1 million jobs because of drugs and guys like me that used to sell drugs. Trust me, if they wanted to stop it, they could stop it. It's never going to happen. So, in wrapping this live up, I just want to say thank you so much to you guys. Please like, subscribe, smash the like button. Pass the word. Tell people to subscribe. I want to build my numbers up. I think I got 85 or 86 followers. It took me 3 weeks just to get up to 50 so I could go live, I drop a short every day. I'm trying to keep myself in the algorithm on YouTube. It's really hard because you get so many people doing things like this. I'm trying to think outside the box and bring you guys real good content. It's hard, And like I said, I'm in the dead of winter right now, and there's 2 feet of snow outside. It's melting. It's getting warmer. I know I need to go to the street and start bringing you guys some real good raw content, and that hopefully will build my audience. So when wrapping this up, I want to say everyone be blessed, feel great, do the right thing, and just one day at a time. That's all you can do. And like I said, don't be shy. If you have a question and you don't want to ask it on here, you can send it to my email at bostonbill@gmail.com. Drop an email. I have no problem, answering you guys' question. If you have anything to say, just let me know. I love everyone. I pray for everyone that's sick and suffering at night. And I think I'm going to wrap this up because my head is pounding and I need a few Tylenol. It's time to lay down, I guess, call it a night. I got to be up at 4 a.m. and that's going to come quick. All right, guys. Thank you so very much for listening to me. I know, like I said, I'm under the weather. I'm not feeling so hot. I apologize for that. But have a great night. Be blessed. Peace out. And help someone if you can. Kiss your loved ones. Hug them all. And, you never know. Your time could be up in a heartbeat. But just, take it one day at a time and do the right thing. And be nice. That's what the world needs, Everyone have a good night. Peace.